Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast, your top automotive refinishing podcast with your hosts, Cory Kleinfeld
and Ryan Brewer. Enjoy the show, guys.
Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast. Today on the podcast, it's just me and Ryan talking about the last year, us podcasting together. I don't know what even we're going to talk about. Everything else. We're going to talk about RestorFX. We're going to talk about our dent businesses. We're going to give you guys some numbers. We can talk about how we met. For one, because that's a random story. We never really actually came on and did a podcast together, kind of just introducing ourselves really and kind of our relationship and why we started doing this. So here we go. Welcome to the show, Ryan and Cory.
What's up?
Both the dent pros.
That's it. I know, it's so awkward. It's weird that happened. Like when we met, we're like, you own a dent business? And it was both the same name. It was funny.
Yeah, it was Dent Pro. You're Dent Pro USA, right?
Yeah.
Technically, got the little USA on your hat. I see it's like little additional. Yeah, we're out here with Dent Pro, but we met at Mobile Tech Expo last year. Last year now.
Yeah, like physically met, but we definitely met. Yeah, we met over talking about RestorFX. Actually,
we did. Yeah. Who told me to call you?
And I forgot his name.
I think it
was the same guy that got me into the RestorFX. I forgot his name, but he just messaged me one day and said, "Hey man, check out RestorFX," and that was it. Like, didn't talk to the dude for a while, and then contacted him after the fact, thanking him for it. So I wasn't the one that founded the RestorFX situation, so which is good.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so just like I've probably talked to, I don't even know, a couple dozen people about RestorFX. Just call me and just, I don't know. We're just a small, tight enough industry that they can reach out, talk to somebody who's already doing it instead of just the RestorFX corporate people to try to get like a real version. Even though I think RestorFX corporate does a pretty good job about, not sugarcoating the entire process. I think if they did sugarcoat anything, it was just, the shop build out. How we wanted it to be, is that was more expensive than, they talked about. Do you have to do it? Not necessarily, but you want to, have the shop right.
So I've tried both ways. When I first got on, my shop was like not the greatest. When Alex walked in here, he was kind of he was like, "This is a disaster." Yeah. I was like, "Well,
Alex, the founder of RestorFX."
Yeah,
obviously, just for those that don't know. But yeah, I called Ryan, talked about RestorFX Center, and then we ended up going down the process and signing up for it. And then at Mobile Tech Expo, we just met up. And it was funny because, I had paused the podcast in like maybe January of that year, December or something, because I just had too much stuff on my plate. And then I knew I was going to bring it back, but I did like 100 episodes, and I was like, all right, this is a good breaking point here. And we met out there and we're just chatting, just kind of hit it off. You could tell like just instant relationship. And it looked like we've been friends for a long time. Enough that we fooled not that we were trying to, but we fooled the RestorFX guys and they're like, "Oh, I'll let you guys know each other forever." And we're like, no, like literally 2 hours in person. So it's funny how that works, but I think that's the world we live in now with technology, right? I mean, you can meet people online and create almost as good of a relationship as you can. It's never the same as in person, but when you meet in person, sometimes you just have that, you just see things the same way, see the world the same way and everything. So, and basically RestorFX came and asked us to like, "Hey, we want to, start an audio platform for RestorFX. Do you guys want to do it?" You had just won Rookie of the Year, right? Like RestorFX Rookie of the Year or something. And I don't know why they picked me because I had a podcast. Basically, I had the following and I knew how to do it, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I think that's why I worked both. I was the fastest growing RestorFX last year. And then I think that you with your podcast experience just kind of made sense, right? So
it makes sense.
It was easy for them to do it. So it worked out.
Yeah. It's been fun. I don't know how many episodes we did, probably like eight or nine. So pretty much once a month for the last year.
And some of the responses that we're getting from some guys, you get them all day. I get them as well. People messaging us and calling. And we're starting to notice that we are helping people. And that's the whole goal for us is we're not over here gloating on what we're doing. We're really just here to, fix problems that people may be having in their business and, help them move in the right direction.
Well, the multiple services issue, I guess, or conversation is really important. I mean, a lot of guys have reached out to me about that, and like, this is like, oh, this is what we needed. Like, I want to hear about all this other stuff. And well, I mean, there's a lot of PDR podcasts. Obviously, I was one of them. I mean, they've been around since PDR college in 2013, 14, and I know there's detailing podcasts. I don't know if there's other podcasts, ceramic coats or whatever, if they get that niche. I'm not sure. That's probably just in the detailing world. But there's just very niche podcasts.
I think all ceramic coating guys hate each other, so they're not. It's like it's not really like
they don't really like. No one wants to talk about the truth of it. Like ceramic coating itself is fucking. I mean, it's nothing. Simple. Right. Wipe on, wipe off for the most part. Train somebody how to do a ceramic coating in one day, but it's the prep work, right? That's the thing no one wants to talk about. It's literally just putting in the time to make it look shiny before you ceramic coat it. And that's the truth. I don't know why that's a big thing, like a big scary thing to talk about. I could prep a car better than you. I mean, maybe a little bit, but
right.
I don't know. I mean, if you got the right polishes, I mean, I get there's an aspect, I guess, of like having the right compound to the right pad combination. So there is that. And if you can test a few of those and one of them works a little better than the other. So there is a little bit of that. But aside from that, it's time, right? It's great work. I mean,
they definitely have a science to it, and it's definitely a skill. I'm not going to like throw out there that it's not.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. Yeah, that sounds mean.
I think that the industry kind of just, man, there's so many people selling the same product, and there is no unity in the industry. And dude, if you go online and try to get into the business and look at buffing pads, you're going to pull your hair out because they have so many companies out there making it. You don't know who's what and what's working because everybody uses different crap. So it's just hard.
Yeah. So. But anyways, to go back to podcasts and we're kind of trying to combine it all together, We've talked a little bit. I mean, we didn't talk much before this podcast episode, but we've talked, we started a Facebook group and we're definitely going to do more with that this year coming up. Probably at Mobile Tech Expo, we'll talk about it, but expand that. We definitely want to create a forum or a community around people who want to add services or have multiple services. Because I think, that's where the industry is going. It really seems like, and it makes sense. Especially for me in an area, and there's a lot of guys in the area that aren't prone to hail. It's pretty tough. It's a long road, I guess, to get to a point where you're just doing enough money, just PDR in a shop, no mobile. And so adding the services, I think, is a critical component of that.
Yeah, I think it's the most critical. I mean, I don't know many guys that are succeeding outside of hail zones with just a dent business. Yes, by themselves, but if they're trying to create something, a real brick and mortar. I mean, yes, you can create a brick and mortar shop with one guy, you yourself, and they're pushing dents, but it's going to stay that way, and you're going to be pushing, forever, which is not what we all want.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, some of the guys do, and you know what? Power to them, dude. Like, if you want to do that, it's just not necessarily a business. You just created a really awesome job for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can make $300,000 sitting in a shop every day. You're not sitting in a shop, but being in the shop yourself and doing all the repairs yourself and answering the phone, and maybe your wife works there. You have an administrative person or whatever, and that's a good life. Nothing wrong with that. But you and I have started talking and meeting more people that want to grow legitimate businesses. And there's a lot of people, dozens, probably hundreds, a lot that I don't know, that want to grow large businesses, multiple locations, more of like a regional business, that's doing $10 million.
Grant, I think it was Grant Cardone said it the other day. Obviously, I saw this on TikTok. He said a business is something that relies on the owner to be there, right? That's what we're talking about. It's if you're a one-man band opening up a shop, or you're mobile, but you can't call yourself a company. A company is something that the owner of that company does not have to be there, and it runs itself consistently all the time. So that's what we're trying to create is companies. We're trying to turn our business into a company. and grow it from there, you know?
Yeah. And to be honest, like it's hard because especially when you go from being a dent guy who makes a good dent guy who is successful enough to look around and be like, oh, I should grow this thing because I can't do it all myself, to grow a company. Because ideally what I should do if I wanted to grow my company as fast as possible, I should probably just take my income down to like $2,500 a month and put everything back into the business.
Yeah.
And I know that I acknowledge the fact that I'm hurting the growth of my company by taking a realistic salary for what I do. I know that. Like if you founded a company, then you did not have the technical skill of it, you wouldn't make any money for a while.
Right.
Like for a while, like years probably. And so we're in this, I mean, you do it, I do it. Pretty much every person I know out there doing this, with the exception of a couple, are running a company or trying to go from business to company, but they're still pushing a lot of dents.
Yeah.
You know, in the meantime. And that's the struggle. You know,
because
if you have the balls or the willingness to do it right, cut your salary to barely livable wage, starvation wage, and then you can grow it a lot faster. But
if
you don't want to, just acknowledge
that. Dent guys have created a certain type of lifestyle, and I'm sure we could all attest to this. So it's kind of hard for us to go back to, you know, I mean, when I first started my dent company, I was living in the back of the shop, showering out of a hose, you know. It's hard to go back to that, you know. So but sometimes it's needed, if not to say going back to that low, but just to know it's definitely going to take a lot of sacrifices to create something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can do it by paying yourself a decent wage. It's just going to take a lot longer, like a lot longer, you know. I can open up an entire second shop and pay a technician to sit there if I chop my salary by that much. You know, and then I can grow. Technically, I have to staff it and build it and market it and everything. But I think about that a lot sometimes. I'm like, am I doing this right? You know, going from business to company. But we're going down that. I mean, we're going down that pathway, trying to get there.
Well, that's what was good about the Restore business. It was finally a business that kind of runs. You can get it if you spend the money on it. You can get it to run itself for the most part. And you know, the dent business isn't like that, but even as an add-on service, and I think we'll get to that later, is what we love about the multi-service shops. You know, why it's needed and what it can do for your, you know, dent guys or any other person in the recon industry.
Well, so I mean, we probably touched on it in the past, but you know, the reason why my dad and I originally, when we signed up, got excited about RestorFX is that, I mean, my dad started in 91 and we saw, you know, training dent guys and just they all ended up leaving at some point and taking work, starting their own thing. It's very common in a lot of these type of service-based industries. I just got back from getting my haircut and I was talking to my barber about it. And I mean, he had started a barbershop in my city like 15 years ago, trained people, and now there's 2 barbershops from people he trained like within 2 miles of him, you know?
Right.
It just happens. But I think with RestorFX, with RestorFX it's impossible because there's proprietary products that they can't order, you know?
Right.
So that's part of it for sure. And then the other part is that, you know, you can pay them an hourly wage, a decent one too. I mean, it's, you know, an entry level type wage. If they become a manager, they can make manager type wage, like a retail manager. Right. So it's that wage, and you can grow a business based off of that instead of, you know, the typical paying the technician 40, 50, 45% of the ticket, you know? But that's probably the biggest reason why we got excited about it. How much did you do? I'll tell you how much I did at RestorFX. You beat me by 10 times.
RestorFX, we cleared 508,000 this year.
508,000. How is that possible? That's my first thought. I did first year business. We came back from training. We basically started in February doing cars. The first couple months was a lot of free cars, pretty much, you know, getting the demos, dealership demos and everything. But we were able to get up to $60,000 in our first year We talked a little bit about kind of pros and cons of how each of us did it, because you got fastest growing RestorFX, got to 500,000, but you went all in with the shop, hiring multiple people, going after all the dealerships. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So I could go into it, but
yeah.
So I went the route of growing. I've always been that way. It doesn't matter what service I've tried to offer, but I go all in. And for some reason, we just get a lot of work, right? Like the dealerships love us. I think we struggled for a minute, trying to get these dealerships to understand what we were able to do for them. And then we did, and now we're organically getting these guys calling, and they're knowing how to sell the cars and buy cars, and it's working out really well for us. So we did that, but it's not. I don't always think that that's going to be the case for everybody. And me and Cory talked about that the other day.
Well, that was a lot of money up front, right? Like
that was just a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I honestly think just in general, I'd probably say it cost me close to 200,000 just to get the shop where it was. Last year we did 205,000, right? So we grew the business.
You're talking about 2021. You did 205.
Yeah, we did 205 this year. We did
22. 508. What's that? 508. Yeah, 508. So that's over 100% growth.
Yeah, it's
pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty high. But it's not where we want to be. Like it was definitely a good start, and the word is getting out there about RestorFX. We're starting to get customers calling, just retail, and that's what my recommendation is. There's multiple different ways you can go about opening up a RestorFX or adding any type of service to your business, but just know that if you go all in with the dealership work, it's all net 30. So which can be really hard, because if I just invested, a lot of my money to over
net 30-ish.
Yeah, ish, right? Because it turns into net 60
real quick.
Which doesn't make sense to me, right? Like if you have 30 days to pay that invoice, but what they want you to do at the end of the month is send in a statement, and then they say they have 30 days to pay that statement. So then the invoices that you're sending on the statement are 60 days old by the time you get your check in.
Well, I mean, it's a tangent to go on, but that's on us as business owners to, I mean, just saying 30, it's due 30 days from the date of the invoice. If not, it's 10% penalty, right?
Well, or something like that. I tried last year, the first of the year I tried, I said, man, screw it. I don't even know if they're going to notice it, but I'm going to start sending statements every 2 weeks. I'm just going to send them a statement of everything we did.
Yeah.
Dude, every single one of them were like, it's not the first of the month. We don't do statements until the first of the month. I was like, well,
oh my gosh,
it's a good shot, good try, right? It didn't work out. So
yeah, but your point being is that like you grew fast, you hired like the shop manager, a couple technicians, all that type of stuff, outfitted the shop, and in the beginning that you had the capacity to do what, 4 or 5 cars a day or something, but you just sometimes you didn't have that.
Yeah, from the get-go. Yeah, that's the thing, is from the get-go, I said to myself, and I told my partners this, that I would rather be overstaffed than understaffed, because I had a really big scare. I went to a dealership owner and kind of pitched to him what we had. And he had a big dealership group with 16 different dealerships. And he said, well, can you handle doing 350 cars a month? And I looked at the guy and I was like, I already had the staff, but I'm like, even with the staff I had, I couldn't do that many cars. There was no way. So I was like, look, I can't.
Yeah, but you're not going to touch every car though.
No, he said he wanted me to touch every car. From the way I was selling RestorFX, and I was like, look, that's just not possible at the moment. But just getting to that, I never wanted to say no. I wish I could have called the guy's bluff and said, hey, give me 350 cars a month and we'll get them all done. But that's where I wanted to be, was making sure I was fully staffed. And it was my job to make sure that we have the cars in the shop to make these guys go. And it's not always easy. It's definitely been a struggle. Making sure that the guys had the vehicles to work on every day, and some weeks and some days we didn't have, we might have broke even, and there was 2 months in 2022 that we probably lost money because of overstaffed.
And they're just sitting there.
Yeah, we were getting like, I was actually gone. I was away in Wisconsin pushing hail, but I found out they were doing like 1 car a day. And that's like way negative, because one car a day doesn't even pay one person's salary. So it definitely put us behind a little bit, and it was just a learning experience for me to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah. So, I mean, my process was different. I'm not going to win the Rookie of the Year award, fastest growth of RestorFX, but I'm also not going to lose money. So my basically pros and cons, I didn't have a partner in RestorFX, so I did, but it ended up being all on me. And so, basically my position was I hired a guy before we started. He came to training with me. He was going to be the guy. This is the career path he's chosen to go down. It's my wife's younger brother. Always loved detailing cars and was a detailer. And so I brought him the idea. And for me, it was like, okay, we're going to start slow. He had other stuff he was doing, like kind of like hit or miss type of jobs, like never a full-time thing. And so I'm like, I'll be flexible with you if you're flexible with me. So on the days we had cars set up, he would do cars. On the days we didn't have cars, he would do other things, until a few months go by. We're starting to get busier. He's mostly full-time, except for some days he would do like events, and he would get paid really well to do events, like to go to an event for 4 hours and you make like $700 for helping him do the thing. And so like, you have to go to those. I can't get anywhere near that, And so I like kind of flexible in and out. Now he's full-time. I have one guy full-time, but we're at a point to where we're going to make money. There's going to be a day where maybe he doesn't have a car randomly here or there, but it makes up for it because one guy is doing basically one car, sometimes two cars, or one car and a panel, or things like that. And so I was able to kind of just like slowly work him in with the carrot, I guess. I don't like to call it that because it sounds like it may not ever happen. A carrot that he can reach someday, ideally, into like, I want to grow this thing. I'm going to take it from nothing to build something. It'll take 9 to 12 months for you to be full-time. I was right about that so far. Now it's like, okay, now we're going to hire another person, do 2 to 3 cars a day, and potentially open up a second shop that's closer to where we both live. Just because my situation is a little different, because I inherited a shop that was way closer to where my dad lived, my parents lived. And so we've been driving 50 minutes each way. And so he doesn't want to do that forever. Obviously, and I don't think very many people do. So anyways, my situation is a little different. I mean, we did $60,000, which I think is pretty good for the first year of starting a business. I probably made 10 grand ish profit, after paying him and ordering product, so this year, he's full-time. The goal is 120. I want to double it. Which is a lot. 100% growth is a lot, but it's very possible.
Well, I'll show you. It's definitely doable.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. And we talked the other day. I've been doing a lot of like, not focusing on it, but definitely putting a lot of effort into doing retail work too. It's kind of one of those weird things. There's the retail side of things is interesting. Even when I thought about it originally, I knew this was going to be a wholesale play. I knew it would. I do a lot of wholesale work already, so it was an easy transition. But it's kind of weird to find the right RestorFX retail customers. If they have a brand new car within a couple of years, not really probably going to be your customer. I mean, that kind of dull maybe, or they ran it through a car wash every week for 2 years. Okay, sure. But those aren't really your customers. And the cars that are really old, 10 years or whatever, that really need it, oxidation, fading, scratches or whatever, maybe they don't want to pay the money to fix it, So it was like that weird conundrum. But if you focus on something, I've talked about this in all my previous coaching podcasts and stuff. You focus on something, you'll find a way to do it. You ask yourself the right questions, you'll find a way. So I'm like, start asking myself, who are the retail customers that this would work for basically? Like, who are those people? And the answer I came to was like off-roading people, wheelers, whatever they call themselves. I don't know. I'm not in the community, so I can't say it.
This guy's gonna hate you for saying that too.
Off-roaders?
The wheelers?
What are they?
I don't know. The wheelers just sounds terrible. Excuse Cory for saying that.
Hopefully they're not listening.
Yeah.
I'm learning more about it though, because it is pretty cool. I've just never been into that myself. But these guys take their cars out up into the mountains, and they like to go on as rough terrain as possible because that's the fun of it. If you're going to spend $20,000 to you make your Forerunner to a point where it can crawl up anything, then you have to fucking try it.
Right.
And with those areas comes lots of bushes, right?
Yeah, you did that Forerunner you did was I use it to sell a lot of customers. I'm like, dude, check
RestorFX Center. Every RestorFX Center, I posted on their Instagram. I'm like, did I give y'all permission to do that? I don't remember that, but whatever.
Dude, it's like the
copyright
best
video.
Yeah.
It is. It just came out so good. The blue, I think the blue sells it. But yeah, so I found some Forerunner blogger. It was kind of his idea as my website guy, and I called him and told him about this idea, like have him on reading my website, and he was like, dude, this is perfect for what I do. And I'm like, really? So he gave me the idea, and I did his car, and it worked out pretty well. He had some light scratches on it. It wasn't bad, but then from that, then we wrote a blog post together. That took a couple months to develop all that stuff. And then this guy found me and he sent me the pictures. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want this car so bad. And so, yeah, so we did that. I think that's, I think you have to find the right niche of people, in the retail world, but that's no different. That's no different than PDR too. I mean, there's 1% of our population is getting PDR done.
Right.
I mean, if that, I live in a city that's like, combine all the areas together, there's probably 2 million people out here. And I mean, between all the dent companies, I'd be shocked if we did 20,000 customers. It's not even 1%.
Right.
So RestorFX isn't for everybody. Neither is paintless dent repair. No automotive appearance is for everybody. No, nothing is for everybody.
That's what
even
I
the
said.
upfitters for the four-wheeling community, there's like just a tiny niche of people that do that are willing to spend $40,000 on their car to make it do all this crazy stuff. But that's what the world is. It's just all niche,
Yeah, I see. It's awesome being able to see two different perspectives, because when I saw RestorFX and put my hands on it, I was like, dude, we're taking in. I guess I kind of compared myself to the paint correction industry because I was in it for so long. I was like, dude,
as a detailer or painter?
Paint, well, all of.
Okay.
I've done everything.
Yeah,
right?
I know you've done everything. Yeah.
So I told myself, I think we're finally going to open this up to have a product and a service that it's for everybody, right? And then it's funny how you put it, because I quickly learned that it's definitely not for everybody.
Well, I mean, yeah, could every single car out there use RestorFX on it if it's more than a year old? Basically, yeah, 100%.
Sure.
I mean, no doubt about it. Every car has a dent on it too, though. Doesn't mean someone's going to find the value in paying for it,
right.
And we don't even need that. There's no business that's for everybody. But there are certain people. You want to know something funny? In my ignorance of the four-wheeling community in general, and I'm not afraid to talk about it because I don't know about it. Some of these people, it's funny because they love to take their car out and get pinstripes on them. Is what they call them. They do. Like it's like a goal almost, because then it's like proof that you actually use your vehicle to go wheeling, to go off-roading. But they don't actually like it.
Right.
But so if you read, but some do, but some don't. So even within the niche of people who buy just Forerunners, who are willing to spend that much money to upfit their Forerunner so they can go do that, even within that, inside of that niche, it's split. Of some people would never ever fix the pinstripes of their Forerunner. It's ridiculous. You're like a bitch if you do that. Right. Like, oh, you just want to seriously read the comments through that reel. It was wild.
That's funny. I didn't do that.
Yeah. And so, but then some of them like it. And so I talked to some of them now because I've done several Forerunners for people, and they're like, yeah, I mean, it's like a badge of honor to some extent, but like also most of these people that spend this, like most of these people don't have ridiculous amounts of money. So like, this is their one car. You know, it's not like an extra car that they just take up
Yeah.
to the mountains. And so they don't want to look like shit necessarily.
That's
you know,
funny.
So I'm like, just restore FX it every year, dude.
Right.
Problem solved.
And then
like, that's the cool thing
keep the before video. And I'll tell, man, I learned this from somebody else, but what we started doing with the Restore retail customers is we make a really good before video and an after video and put it all together, just like something we would use for social media. And then we give it to the customer. That way, whenever they're in front of people, they can be like, look at what my car looked like before. That definitely works really well. So those guys have got to, keep those befores, and they're like, yeah, my shit might look good, but look how bad it looked, last month.
Right.
Here's my war wounds.
I was trying to explain to the people, to a couple of these guys, like, because they couldn't. RestorFX is like so much of a game changer, in my opinion, that people don't believe you. You know, it's like so far past, like, it's so far different than what typical paint correction is that people don't. And I was very skeptical, like, I guess skeptical or whatever at first too, but it's like, try to tell people paint correction, you could do like twice, maybe 3 times, depending on how aggressive you're going to get or how good the technician is. You could do RestorFX as many times as you want. And they're like, what? No, that's not, like, how is that possible? And so it's funny. I'm like, just go do your thing again, take it off road. And then when you get sick of looking at it, I'll do it again. Yeah. It's fine, which is pretty crazy. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Without repainting a vehicle. And I'll still show people. I showed people at the barbershop today. A guy was sitting next to me that was like a Jeep guy, and he has this Jeep that he takes off and it's all scratched up. I'm like, hey, check this out. I show him that reel every time. It's like ready to go on my phone 100% of the time, and they're just like, oh, wait, what? That's great. It's wild.
I've never had somebody look at the video and be like, huh. It's always like, what the fuck?
I know, yeah. They're never like, oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
No, they're like, there's no way you didn't paint that vehicle. I'm like, no, it was done in 24 hours.
Yeah, so I said one day. There's like, I mean, I've told, I go to paint correction, I go to detailers, essentially people do ceramic coatings and stuff, and I'm like, I know it doesn't happen often, but I'm like, someone's gonna bring in an older car, and they want you to ceramic coat it, and you're like, I can't ceramic coat this thing. It's beat to shit. Those people just send them to me, and so I show them myself. I'm like, no one wants to 2 or 3 stage paint correct a car.
No. No.
Will they do it in exchange for money? Yes, obviously. But no one wakes up in the morning. Maybe there's a couple people out there. Very few people. No detailers I know.
Well, it's like saying Bryce Kelly, like the dents he works on. I think he wakes up every morning. That's different
though, because I think he does. But that's different. It's a different level of satisfaction taking something insanely complicated and turning it. But again, we talk about paint correction. I don't want to demean it, because there is a skill and an art form to it, especially if you're getting down to like you've paint corrected the vehicle already before, or different types of single stage paint or whatever. But someone brings you like a 2014 Altima that's super beat up, and they want you to sand it down with 3000 and then polish it all out. It's going to take like 4 days, and it's black, of course, right? Yeah. And it's 4 days of literally, like, once you pick the pad and the polish for that particular car, it's 2 to 3 to 4 days of literal back and forth movement.
And that customer is not going to want to. They're not going to want to pay $4,000 to have their car done like that. There's,
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing, and I've learned all this since I've started RestorFX, and I've talked to detailers and going to MT and talking about all this stuff and everything, and it's just like polishing and ceramic coating, one thing, 1 stage polish, cut, decontamination, polish, that's fine. It's a normal amount of work to be done on a vehicle.
Right.
6 hours of polishing, fine. But when you start getting into like 23 hours of polishing on the same car, it's just like mentally just.
I love hearing that. Like, I'll see videos or something on TikTok, and they're like, oh, 28 hours, got it done. Yeah. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, good for you. More power. Hey, the grind is real. I get it. All that stuff. People will trade, you got to trade your time for money. And if they're good at it, that's great. But like I said, I don't think there's very many people that wake up and want to do that. And so RestorFX is that's where I'm like, this is crazy.
We love it.
Guys
at
RestorFX, they're always so nice, and they're like, well, I'm more like an aggressive talker than they are, and I'm like, it's just so like it changes the game on paint correction. period. And I tell my detailers this, and I've gotten a couple cars from them. You know, they're like, I don't want to do this. Just call Cory. They'll do it. However they do their thing, you know? And I'm like, yeah, sometimes I stand the car with 2,000. I'm like, 2,000? And then you polish it all out, you know? It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Because, like, when they think about sanding with 3 or 2, like, they're like, the amount of work that it's going to take to get it right after that is like,
it turns into 6 and 8 steps just to get it right. With a buffer, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy. Oh, so you did 500,000, I did 60,000, so I'm catching you.
But like I said, you were talking about trying to double. You wanted to grow 100%. Obviously, I did that from last year, so you're in. I mean, you're going to do it. There's no doubt about it.
I'll do it.
But
yeah, I'll do it.
Back to the whole, like, we were talking about how you did your stuff with the retail. That's what I want a lot of people to understand is that they hear about me spending all this money on the RestorFX business, and that kind of, I'm sure people are kind of off put by that to a certain extent, and some maybe aren't. Some want to dive in and spend the money. But just know that you can definitely be successful doing it the way Cory's doing it, because we're looking at living proof, right? So just know that there's options, and we're here to help you with that as well. And that's why we talk about, you know, how we're running our business here in Lafayette and what Cory's doing in Sacramento. That way you can make a valued decision on whether you feel like this is a good fit for your company or not.
Yeah. And so, and again, you talked about net 30, like all retail is COD. Cash on demand, right? I mean, that makes a big difference when I got to pay my technician full-time wages at 20 something bucks an hour plus some other perks. Like that's, I don't know what it is, $4,000-ish a month. If he's doing all wholesale, sometimes they haven't paid you yet and it's coming out of your pocket. Granted, you'll get paid back on the end, but when you're doing it at scale like you, those numbers are just bigger, right? I don't know.
My overhead
is probably $20,000 just for payroll plus shop expenses plus product ordering. You know,
it's high. It's
so
really
the numbers
high.
are just bigger.
Yeah.
But when we're doing these cars, these retail cars, it's cash on demand, and the prices are double compared to wholesale.
When I get a customer that pays a bill, like we get money in the account like that day, I'm like, man, this is awesome.
You're like, that is so fun. Well, you do that with PDR a lot though, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we have a huge retail business for paintless dent repair, but that's just, we have everything separate. You know, we have Dent Pro on Mobile Tech RX, and we have RestorFX on Mobile Tech RX. So our numbers are, you know, that RestorFX number is not any, that has nothing to do with paintless dent repair. That's all RestorFX.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So what'd you do? You want to talk about PDR numbers?
Sure. I mean, we did Mobile Tech RX. I told Cory, so Mobile Tech RX has 230 or 240,000, not including hail work. So we were probably, you know, right at that 400 to 500,000 this year in paintless dent repair. So.
After you the hail that you did for other people that's not in your Mobile Tech RX.
Yeah, ran through Dent Pro. Yeah, whether I was going to send me or employee out there to go do it, it got done. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we did. I mean, our PDR business has always been, that's all we did for, like my dad did it for 30 years and I've been doing it for 20. It's all we did. So we did just about a little bit under $600,000 in PDR this year. And I was just looking again real quick. All wholesale we run through, like in the services section, we run through the PDR section. Did it?
Yeah. That's what
section. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what we do.
So when I run the report, I can see the what's that?
We do the same thing on that.
We got some lag going here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like almost exactly split. I'm like almost exactly split right down the middle.
Yeah, I could do that. I'll run that actually. Dude, so I ran that report just now.
Yeah.
We did 177,000 in dealership stuff, like the PDR. And then we did 52,000 in price of dents.
So more wholesale than retail then.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So I'm like literally $1,000 off between the PDR section. And then if I'm combining hail and price of dent together on the retail side, I'm $1,000 off. So I'm like almost exact. If this is accurate, which, you know, give or take, we got R&I parts and some other stuff in here too. But if all wholesale is in PDR and all retail, which it should be, unless someone was lazy and just stuck a random number in the PDR section for a retail job or something. I'll do it for 200 or whatever. Yeah. It's possible. They were $1,000 off of exactly 50-50 split, which is pretty wild.
Dude, and so what's crazy is, like, I'm gonna run one from years ago, but that's how I used to be. I was 50-50 with dealership and retail. I was always even. Yeah, so I did 897,000. Yeah, 897,000 in 2021.
Yeah, hailstorm or what?
No. 300,000. I had a lot of guys. I wasn't dealing with, you know, a lot of the restore stuff. We didn't start kicking that shit off. Yeah, but it was even 340,000 in PDR, which would be at the dealerships, and 320,000 in precedent. So
yeah, for sure,
the same. Yeah,
nice. We're going.
God, I didn't even ran that number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we should try to do this as business owners every year, every quarter, honestly, and just try to look at that and see where you're going. And if you ran a corporation, that's what you would do every week and look at KPIs the entire time. But we're still in the damn thing, and we're trying to get to the point where we are running a corporation, and we just look at these numbers. Why is this number slightly off? I mean, that's what they do, right? At that point, so we're getting there. So what are your goals for RestorFX this year?
I'm gonna go real dumb and double it again. Like, I want to.
I'm gonna go real dumb.
I'd like to. My goal is to have RestorFX in the 750 or 700 to 800,000 a year. Is my goal, is where I want it to be. Yeah. Which is great because we already have the staff, right? Like I said to myself, we have the staff to do those.
You have the
types of
staff
numbers.
To do that much?
Yeah, of course.
Damn.
And that was my thing.
How many guys is that? 3 guys?
I have 3 people in the back, 2 porters, and a manager.
Yeah.
Which we can do it. I mean, obviously, look at man, what was his name in Long Island?
I know, Mikey.
Yeah, man,
his last name was
that's my hero, from my RestorFX hero.
That's my hero. Yeah, he was crushing. If you guys haven't heard that podcast episode, it was probably like 8 of them ago. I think it was called The Largest RestorFX Center in the World. I think it was the title of it, something like that. He was doing 13 cars a day.
Sometimes 20, sometimes like 23 a day or some shit.
Was that what it was? No, was it?
Yeah,
was it
dude.
really?
Sometimes he was doing 20. I think he was doing 16 to 18 cars a day, and then some days he'd be doing like 20 something.
Yeah.
Because he was doing over 100.
One location too. One location.
Yeah. Well, he just opened up that retail location, which I think we should touch base with him and find out how that's been going.
I know we should. Yeah, you're right. So you're going to do a second location, or at some point, or are you just going to try to get this one to 800 and then think about that?
No, I think, another dumb thing. I'll probably get into growing this one and opening up another location at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I think another location, if it's far enough away, can be beneficial. Like in my position right now, like my location's so far away from my home, I think it's very possible to have one technician in each of the spots, and then have a PDR technician in each of the spots, and have 2 retail facilities. Easier said than done. If maybe it doesn't work out as well, but
yeah, if I open up a new location, I think I'm going to do it the way you did, Cory. And I'm going to kind of start it small because I don't need that, right? I don't need to grow this thing as fast as I needed to grow this one here in Lafayette. So I'm just going to run that one and choose the right people and get the right clientele. And I'm probably going to go mostly after retail, to be honest.
Yeah. And so, I mean, my office manager, who basically runs my office, answers the phones, bank deposits, QuickBooks, all that. He's the one that's there at the front all the time, estimates, all those things. He's also my porter. So, like, I don't know. Like, I just have just the really, like, I guess, bootstrap. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Bootstrap mentality, where I'm like doing the minute, like, try to maximize each of the people that work for me. But I don't have money. Like, you had a partner in it, so your situation is a little different. I don't know if you want to talk about that. You don't have to, but the situation was different. I didn't have money to put at it to hire 5 different people. I couldn't bankroll that for long. I mean, I could have for a little bit on my fix and dents, but not for long. And so I just had to do it this way, just like slowly and surely just kind of build it up. But there were times where, because there would be one week where I don't have a car on Tuesday, and then the next week a dealership calls me and I'm like, I can't do it for 10 days. It was like, it would be like those waves, and that's the hard part. Or then I'd run down and help my guy do it, so there's 2 of us now. And then, so is it the most efficient like way for me to spend my time? Not necessarily. So there's pros and cons to each of the situations. Like, you're not running in and doing RestorFX on cars.
I don't even know if I know how to install RestorFX anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting kind of far enough removed from it now that it's that when I go down there, I'm like, I just help you prep and you can install, because I'm not really sure. If it's a wholesale car, I'll do it. But there's some mistakes that can be made, and I did the first 40 cars with him because I knew if you were at a small business like this and you don't have if you don't have 2 people in your business that can do the same service, then you're foolish, in my opinion. You have to. And so I'm not going to hire 2 RestorFX guys right now for not even doing 1 car every single day. So I'm the backup. I'm the backup for the PDR. I'm the backup for the RestorFX. I'm the backup for all that stuff.
That's smart though. That's a smart way to work it though.
Yeah, that's the inexpensive. That's like the frugal way to start it.
I wish I was like you, Cory.
Because
the reward the reward that you're going to get out of that in the end is going to be great, because you don't have somebody to split that with. You don't have partners to, deal with. So I think your reward is going to be a lot more than mine at the end, but it's still a reward either way.
Yeah. I mean, and you grew fast and quick and made a big impact in the industry. Like there's so many dealers I haven't even gone to, because every dealer that I've gone to except for one has given me a car to do. Except for one Toyota dealer, they have all in-house, and they're like, we don't use any other vendors. I'm trying to explain to them like what I do is different than what your guys can do. You're all in one guys or whatever. So it doesn't matter. I'm not going to waste my time. So there's a lot, so the success rate of me getting a demo and then me getting additional cars is high. It's a very high number. So there's a lot of dealers I haven't even gone to, because if I visit 10 more dealers, I can't handle it. And now I have a shop space issue too, now we're doing PDR and RestorFX out of there every day. And so now I need to figure out that issue as well. Which I said in the very beginning, if I am successful with RestorFX, if I do everything right, this is going to be an issue. And it is. So it's a good issue to have, but it is something we have to solve.
It's funny because you're going to have an issue either way, right? You're either going to have an issue of being overstaffed, or you're going to have the issue of being understaffed. It's just which one are you going to choose, right? They both cost money.
Yeah, they do. You're right. They both cost, like, mine costs time,
right?
And my own money, I guess, and then yours costs physical dollars.
That was my thing. I was so sick of my time being wasted. Not to say wasted, but it's more valuable. And me and you talk about that a lot.
It's more valuable with PDR for sure. Yeah.
Right. So it makes sense for me to spend the money, and maybe I might not be making, like, those numbers look great and they sound great, but maybe I'm still not making money from RestorFX, but I will in the future. But my time isn't being wasted.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, what else, dude? That was our overview of what's going on.
So we got MTE coming up pretty soon.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah.
This podcast will release like mid-January. That we're the one we're recording now. So it'll be what is it? 26th, 27th, something like that. MTE
27th.
27th. Yeah, I'm going a couple days early to meet with some people. Yeah, so 27th is the 26th Education Day. 27th, 28th. Yeah. That's gonna be a good show, I think. I mean, I think, even more again, like, still coming out of COVID. I think last year there's a lot of people that didn't go just for that reason. Well, one couldn't go from out of the country, I think, had trouble going, right? Because travel restrictions.
Well, Shane Griffin, a really good friend of mine that I met from MTE, he was stuck in New Zealand. So,
well, as I'm saying, there was people that just probably wanted to go that just couldn't or could, but it was such a burden to leave the country and come back because they had to like quarantine for 2 weeks on the way back or something like that. I think I know a buddy from Canada that he came to MTE, but when he went back, he had to quarantine for like 10 days. Couldn't leave. You know what I mean? So that shit was still happening. Maybe it still is now. I don't know, but so I think it'll be a bigger show than it was last time.
I see MTE changing, like evolving, which is my whole point. I was telling my brother this the other night. Like, I used to go to MTE because I loved tools and I just like loved, seeing the new stuff. And I see more people going to MTE now for networking and to like find out about businesses. And I like that. I told him last year when I went, that was when I met you and me and you. I don't know how long we stayed down at the bar with Paul Cord and Tim, but it seemed like all night long.
Yeah,
multiple conversations with people. And I told my brother, I learned so much from MTE every year that my most successful months or when I get back is February, March, and April, because I'm like implementing all these things.
It's true, dude.
And I see people seeing that about MTE, and that's why people are going now.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm going, to be honest with you. I did speeches in the past. I did MTE. I did the PDR Olympics and stuff in the past. I don't think I'm doing any of that. I'm just going to go network the whole time. People have heard me talk about the PDR 20 group. So we do that on Wednesday before the show. Thursday's education day, which you should go to that. If you're going to go to MTE, fly in a day early. They upped the price. $125, I think. For the education day. Yeah, I think it used to be like 40, something like that. But it's worth it. It's worth it. There's no doubt about it. Which is good. They know it's worth it. That's why they're charging it. Obviously, last year was very well attended. So education day, and then like I'm already setting meetings with like essentially in-person meetings with people I want to talk to. Like, hey, let's sit down, let's get a coffee, let's have dinner with these set of 10 guys. Let's do all that. And that stuff I think is super, super valuable. The game is changing over the next 10 years, dude. Like the industry, the automotive appearance industry, MTE is going to look just massive, just going to be so much bigger. I don't have any doubt about that.
Yeah.
RestorFX will be there. They're actually talking on education day too. So that'll be interesting. They haven't done that, so I'm curious to see how
I think that they I don't know what size room they got, but I think they better get a bigger room.
I think they're gonna be well attended for sure.
Yeah. I do.
Oh, I don't even know if we talked about this, but I was talking to Ryan K and some of the guys, and we're gonna I'm signing you up, so you have to do it. But we're gonna sit at the booth sometimes a little bit on Friday and Saturday at the RestorFX booth with a table and do podcast stuff. So if you're cool with that. We'll figure it out. We don't have to sit there the whole time, obviously.
Yeah,
but people that come by, we can do quick interviews or ask kind of what they thought about it. We're gonna do a lot of interviews with other centers while we're there as well, like in person, because it's just cooler than doing it on Zoom, like we always do.
Right.
So that'll be fun too.
Yeah.
But where are you going in? Have you booked your stuff?
I haven't booked it yet, but we're probably gonna go Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll be there Tuesday and Saturday.
I'd drive out there. I've driven it before. It's not an issue for me.
Oh yeah, that's not too bad.
It's 16 hours, but
is it that? Oh, it's 16. Okay, that's pretty far. Yeah, because I guess it's like all the way down at the bottom of Florida.
Maybe not 16, but it's 12, 14, something like that. I've driven it before. It was no issue.
Okay, yeah. It would take me like in 2 days. I don't even know.
No. It took my brother 2 days. It took my brother 2 days to get to San Diego from here. It's Mike's place when he trained with him. It took him 2 days.
Okay, yeah. This is why we started the Masters of Recon Facebook group too. Is that like, and I think coming off MTE, we've slacked a little bit on creating the right content for it. I'll admit it. There's sometimes other things become priorities, and we don't do everything right. So forgive us, but the intent of the group is, like you said, coming back from MTE, we're the most productive January or February, March, April. And we want to be able to keep that going and create that inside the Masters of Recon Facebook group. The crossover between services, I think is necessary. The amount that you can learn from what a detailer does or what a wheel guy does or a touch-up guy or some other person does with it. And I've been talking to this interior guy who reached out to me on Instagram. Super cool. Like, I don't know much about interior repair. You probably started an interior repair business at one point. I don't know. Yeah, of course you did. And so, like, just learning the way he handles stuff and how he does stuff. He called me about an insurance claim the other day, and it was like, I'm working on a $120,000 BMW, whatever. Apparently, I'm sure you know this. Maybe other people do. I'm just an idiot. Crash, glass goes everywhere in the car and scratches the shit out of everything. Steering wheel, dashboard, door panels, everything, right? So he calls me and he's like, I just want to make sure, what you think of my pricing and stuff like that. So it's all insurance work. So he calls up all the parts people, gets parts replacement costs for everything, and then charges based off of that, a percentage of that. It was a low percentage though. And I'm like, up that percentage for sure. And he's like, I'm just trying to be fair, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you are being fair. Like, trust me. So anyways, we talked about that, but it's just like, it's just cool to hear how other industries run things and how you can implement that into your business. So that's what we want to create with the Masters of Recon Facebook group. Search for it. You can find it, go join it. We will have more and more content on that coming soon in conjunction with the podcast. So, right.
That's it, dude. That's our goal.
Yes. So hit us up if you want to talk at MTE.
Yeah.
Find it. I'm easy to find on Instagram. I don't know where people can find you.
I'm on all the platforms. I had somebody actually message me on Instagram yesterday about MTE. So
yeah.
Anyone. TikTok, do find me on TikTok.
What's channel? OnlyFans? Yeah, OnlyFans. Coach Cory K.
I charge for it.
Yeah, for sure. Every DM. I'm Coach Cory K on Instagram. Where are you? Is Denver USA or Ryan Brewer or what?
It's either one. You could do Ryan Brewer or I don't even know. I don't even get on Instagram that much, but
Facebook, wherever.
I'm mostly on Facebook, which is easy. You just type my name in, which finds
type your name in. Yeah, there you go.
Because
good deal.
Cory,
well, I hope you guys got...
Cory took it's Dent Pro USA. So I had to put an underscore after the Dent Pro _ USA for Instagram. Somebody stole it before I can get it.
Dent Pro USA?
Yeah, I had to put an underscore. I know.
Huh. Interesting. There's a lot of Dent Pros out there.
Not USA.
A lot of fake Dent Pros.
Mm-hmm.
Not the real one.
That's it.
All right, reach out to us if you want to talk us. Hit us up for MTE. Did we cover everything? I hope you guys got value out of that show. Us just sharing what we're doing in our businesses, what we're trying to do next year.
Yeah. Oh, maybe we'll do a live. I think we should do a live little Facebook thing after MTE, which would be good.
Let's tease this. We have a podcast in the recording banks already. That's the best podcast that's ever been recorded in PDR history. Guaranteed. Do you agree with that?
I do. It's up there for sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's up there. Top 2.
We were saving
top 5. No, I want to release it before MTE, like I was telling you.
Yeah.
So this one's going to drop like in the, I don't even know, 14, 15, 16, 17th, January 17th, I think. And then the week after, I think the week before MTE, we should drop the other one because I want that to be a discussion going into MTE. It's about diminished value on your vehicles, how that comes into play, body shop versus paintless dent repair, repainting, not repainting, what can PDR fix, etc. All the diminished value talk from an expert in diminished value who does this all day, every day. And so much was learned in that podcast. So I'm excited about that one as well. So, and I know we're going to do one podcast a month, and I know we've talked a little bit, want to try to get it up to at least 2 a month, potentially. Maybe get it back to a weekly podcast, but my schedule right now can't handle that. I don't know about you, Ryan. I know you've been able to more now that you're not chasing hail, but anyways, maybe we'll get back to that. I'm not going to promise that we come back every week though, because it might not happen, but for sure every month. And then I think we want to try to get to twice a month and start bringing on. We have a lot of other people to bring on. We don't need to talk about that. So yeah, look forward to that other podcast, and then let's talk about it. MT.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that is it, huh? That's a wrap.
That was an hour of rambling. Beautiful. Yeah. Good stuff.